the thunder, others the lightning. All could devastate a defense. The best of the best running backs over the last 2 decades. Welcome back to 11 and Last 20. I'm your host, Chad Landers. Thanks for tuning in to our latest countdown here on Blue Ridge 11. Today, we head back to the gridiron to highlight the best running backs from our coverage area over the past 20 years. So let's put on the pads and see who made our list.
Let's get ready to rumble! That was just power running by Kevin Kelly. Throwing, got it! Oh, that's beautiful! That is beautiful! Play action! Rock keeps his balance. Boy, Nate Rock.
That's what you like to see in an athlete, to keep coming back and coming back.
Moser, he zigzags his way and he gets it down to the 10-yard line. Flick uses the stiff arm, in for the touchdown.
What I look for in a running back is toughness. I want a hard-nosed kid who's not afraid of the contact, but who's going to fight for every yard that he can get.
Speed and power is a tremendous asset to have. Somebody who's reliable in terms of no fumbles, willingness to do the little things.
Be disciplined. Do what the coaches tell you to do. Play hard, and I think you're going to be successful.
Just making sure that the first guy doesn't bring you down. Good running backs make one man miss. Good running backs run through arm tackles. You can be fast, you can be this and that, but if you go down on an arm tackle or can't make one guy miss, you know, you're not as valuable. The guys on this list made one guy miss.
Number 11, effort is Nate Rock, two-sport star for the Mounts.
And of course, the main guy that would expect to get the majority of carries will be Nate Rock, the senior in the backfield.
What a perfect name for a running back. I mean, you think of a Rock, you think somebody solid.
But he just shedding tackles, the way he can just get rid of people. Yeah. Just the strength on the upper body and lower body.
Right, strength and balance. Let Rock take over.
Big time wrestler.
Rock is tough, physical, and pretty darn good.
And football player at Ephrata.
He is not going to get him. Rock goes the distance. 76 yards.
When you have a football wrestler at running back, that's just a tough kid.
He was definitely a tough kid. He kept coming back for more and more each time.
That's what you like to see in an athlete, to keep coming back and coming back.
Rock keeps his balance. Boy, Nate Rock.
That's the way to let your blocker lead for you.
No finesse to Nate. I mean, he would get the ball and he would just pound it in the line of scrimmage. A guy, again, that carried the workload, would get his number called over and over again.
And look at that, Nate Rock already over 100 yards for the ball game.
And kind of that mentality that when he got the ball, he was looking to run over you.
I had the pleasure of seeing him in both sports, and I think what you got to look at him is that he had that mentality. Wrestler, football player, I think he brought a wrestling mentality to the football field. Given a choice of running around you or running over you, his initial thought was, I will run you over, and he was very good at it.
Rock again. Nice job by Rock to follow the blocking as he gets inside the 10-yard line.
He had great career stats.
Still on his feet.
He's going to go.
Giving chase. Gatchel. Nate Rock touchdown.
They answer again.
82 yards.
He was a little quicker than people give him credit for, but I just remember anytime we played against him knowing that this kid was tough as nails. I mean, tough as nails, and he would give you all he had, and great football player.
Number 10, Garden Spot's Jihad Jeffers, over 2,500 yards rushing for the Spartans.
Power and grace.
He was a bull. Big, strong. You know, for us older people, like granted, he wasn't exactly like him, but the size of his legs reminded me of Earl Campbell, a guy that was just strong top to bottom.
It seemed like he played for forever over at Garden Spot. Just a tough kid, got you the extra yards, just a durable running back for him over at Garden Spot.
Nice run, Jihad Jeffers.
Brought a lot to the table. You know, you knew he was going to get a lot of touches against them, and you would game plan for it, but I still saw him on many occasions have outstanding games despite the defense being prepared for what he was going to bring to them.
Bullish kid who could drag you, lower the shoulder, boom.
Jeffers dives up over the top and in for the touchdown.
Get a first down, drag you a couple, 2, 3, 4 extra yards, but also graceful. And when he got second level, he had this other gear, and he could really kick it up a notch and just burn you and beat the linebacker, beat the safety, and gone. As you guys know, Mannheim Central prides itself on stuffing your run. You're not getting 100 yards tonight, we're going to stop your big back. And I remember Jeffers had a big night against the Barons.
There's your numbers on Jefferson. Undoubtedly, a lot of yards came here in the second half.
So I can still see him running down the sideline for a long touchdown against them. Probably one of the most underrated kids on this list, because we're talking about kids who are on all-time charts. But Jeffers was really good, powerful, and graceful. I'll always remember that about him.
Number 9, Warwick's Eric Resch. Back-to-back seasons of 1,000 yards rushing.
Resch on the screen. Resch 30. Resch down the sideline. Touchdown Warwick. 46 yards with 2 seconds remaining in the half.
When I think about Eric Resch, he was such a key part of those Warwick football teams that went to the district playoffs for a couple of years in a row.
Pound for pound, unbelievably tough young man. You know, he played at about 160, 165, and unbelievably durable. 2,000 plus seasons back to back, and toted the ball 20, 25 times a game. I don't remember him ever missing any playing time during that time.
Great vision.
Boy, is he good at reading blocks and finding the seams. He's got great vision.
19-yard run for Resch. Read his blocks in front of him really well. And I think the thing that, too, he was really a smart running back, is that he never seemed to take a direct hit. It's like he felt the defenders coming, and he knew which way to turn, which way to fall, so he never took that big hit when he was running the ball. And let's face it, he wasn't a big kid, but the thing is, he was called on, and he averaged 24 carries a game. Resch, first down, into the secondary. Eric Resch is gone for the touchdown. For somebody that size, that's carrying the workload on a pretty consistent basis.
He always answered the bell. He was always ready to take the ball and always ready to do whatever you needed him to do.
Resch slips through and into the secondary. Eric Resch is gone for the touchdown.
Sneaky fast, good quickness, was willing to lower the shoulders, but had pretty good vision. Just a tough young man, and you look at him. A couple of running backs have one thing in common, a running back and a wrestler, and I thought he had that same mentality in both sports. He was a tough young man.
Number 8, Mannheim Central's Damon Camacho. Barron's second all-time leading rusher, over 3,000 career yards.
He was explosive.
A jitterbug type of runner who could find the holes and just squirt through them and break off big gains for Mannheim Central.
And there is Camacho busting it open, and he is going to go for the touchdown. 34-yard run for Damon Camacho.
Smallish, but wheels. He was, kind of in the same mold as a Royer. Could run, burner kid who could get to the edge, touchdown maker.
He is gone. And again, another fast drive, 2 or 3 plays for Mannheim Central, and they are on the board again, looking like they didn't miss a beat at all from last season.
He's the kid who could spring one and go 40, 50 yards, touchdown. Just really liked his multi-purpose game.
Damon Camacho is a little bit different for us. He was more of that glide, patient runner.
From the 3, Camacho bouncing off tackles and into the end zone for a touchdown.
Get behind the lineman, see where the hole opened up.
I love the elusiveness of Camacho. He's not just going to take it straight up the field. He's making cuts left, he's making cuts right, trying to find any kind of blocking.
And then he'd be explosive. He'd take off. He had a little high knee kick to him. He'd get in that open field. He can make you miss. Really tough, good running back for us.
He had a lot of moves, and you'd have him cornered, and the next thing you know, if you were just if you didn't put a good shoulder in there or got a hold of him, he was going to break tackles. He was very, very elusive. He could cut on a dime, and then he could accelerate as well. So Damon had some big games over at Mannheim, and just a quality running back. One of many that they've had.
A dose of Damon Camacho on the opening series, and it pays off with 6 points. I think if you ask a lot of people about Damon being one of the top rushers in all time at Mannheim Central, they might have thought of some other names, but this is a kid that really produced when his number was called.
He was another one of those prototypical Mannheim Central pitch game speed demon burner kids.
Damon Camacho, touchdown,
Barons.
The countdown's only getting started, and coming up next, we look back at the best running backs from number 7 through number 4. It's all ahead on 11 of the last 20. Welcome back to 11 of the last 20. Next on our countdown is a 4-year starter for the Cocalico Eagles whose toughness and speed gave opposing coaches nightmares. Check him out.
Number 7, Cocalico's Spencer Moser, Eagles' 4th all-time leading rusher, 50 career touchdowns.
Incredible athlete.
Moser, oh, what a beautiful spin move.
4-year starter at Cocalico, and let's face it, when you come in as a freshman and you're playing varsity football, you're something special, and somebody that your offense is going to be built around.
He's got a first down. He's got the sideline. Spencer Moser. Touchdown, Eagles.
I like Spencer Moser. He was not very big, but boy, was he tough. You think run offenses, Cocalico's as good as anybody, and he was a typical Cocalico wingback.
Here is Moser. Touchdown, Eagles. He's quick. His feet are so quick, and he hit that hole. There was nobody in front of him.
The key to Spencer, besides his quickness and his speed, he had what we called zuzus.
Give us Moser. Moser, he zigzags his way, and he gets it down to the 10-yard line.
He had the moves. He gets on the perimeter with the ball, even if they've played it right and they had him contained. He'll make a move, and then he will accelerate through a gap, and he's gone. He was just so much fun to watch at slot.
Just a tough kid. We brought him up as a freshman. He ended up starting at quarterback for us. He wanted to be a running back. He always was, and just did a lot of good things with the ball in his hand. Changed directions, read holes pretty well, and he was pretty physical for a little guy too. He was only 160, 165 pounds, but just a tough kid as well.
He gives you everything, and if you had 22 of Spencer Moser's on your team, you could coach forever.
I'll never forget Spencer's determination and his heart, because he wasn't the biggest kid, but he was always powerful. And I remember him being a muscular, lean kind of a guy, and he could take hits and deal hits. But I remember him taking some damage and getting popped, but he always got right back up, took the ball again, and had great wheels and could beat you with his speed on the edge.
He played with a little bit of a swagger, which, Cocalico kids are hard-nosed kids. He just had a little bit more. Just a tough kid, tough competitor. He was a real player for Cocalico.
Moser leans in, touchdown.
Number 6, Manheim Central's Mark Royer, Barron's single-season rushing leader, over 3,000 career yards.
Mark Royer, speed demon.
He could go inside or outside. He was strong enough to go inside, fast enough to run outside.
I remember him just being one of those guys that could pull away from the defense and score on long touchdown runs. He was in the backfield with Ian Hanselman, and he just, together, those two just gave the Barons a great 1-2 punch.
In his senior year, he had over 2,200 yards rushing, and that was a lot considering the fact that he actually split time with Ian Hanselman, who was another running back who had 1,400 yards rushing. So we had a nice 1-2 punch with those two kids. But Mark was a kid that had the speed, he had the power. He didn't quite have the size, but he packed a punch when he did hit you.
Average 9 or 10 yards a carry, breakaway threat every time. He was that kid in Central's offense that you had to be wary of no matter where he was. Play action passes, screens, but especially like in the pitch game when Central, did its midline veer pitch game stuff. And I remember Royer just being that ultimate edge kid, and he had wheels, and he was one of those kids who had another gear, and you think he's just kind of gliding along, and then boom, he just kind of gets this burst, and the next thing you know, he's 15 yards downfield behind you, touchdown. But the ultimate speed kid, his couple of years there at Central, I just always remember him just being that edge kid and just being able to just flat out outrun you.
He was a Cocalico killer. He had some big plays against us in some playoff games and regular season games. And Mark was a scorer. Mark, did very well with the ball in his hands.
2,200-yard running back, tough, physical, hard-nosed kid, and really excelled.
Number 5, Warwick's Darren Thompson, averaged 200 yards per game as a senior, future Penn State Nittany Lion.
Season I won't forget. Darren Thompson picks up his 15th rushing touchdown of the season as we watch it again. You know, even if you're not somebody that enjoys the running game, you like a passing game, you have to sit back and just really admire what Darren Thompson did that year.
Darren Thompson, one of the single most memorable seasons I ever covered.
The thing you got to remember about him is he had like 2 carries his junior year before getting hurt and missing an entire junior season. We thought we knew what we had in him coming into that year, and the what ifs of the world, again, just the way it is. But you look at his senior season.
First play from scrimmage, the handoff to Darren Thompson to the outside, to the inside. He takes it all the way. It must be Cedar Crest really didn't get the memo on this guy.
Over 2,000 yards. We had an offense. We lost 2 quarterbacks. Everybody on the field knew who was getting the ball, and he still averaged close to 7 yards a carry. He had the best vision of any running back I've ever coached here.
Watch this run. Look at that. Look at him spin. Oh, man, this is outstanding.
Second kid in LL history to rush for 2,000 yards in 10 games. He was a 200-yard machine.
Chased by Burkholder, stays on his feet. Touchdown, Warwick.
You are kidding me.
They weren't trying to trick you. Here comes Darren. Good luck. And he just had a season for the 8. He was amazing. He was amazing. He tore up everybody's defense.
He's into the open. With a move to the outside, Darren Thompson in for the touchdown. And that is number 5 for Darren Thompson tonight.
I couldn't imagine the defensive coordinators that year trying to game plan for Darren Thompson all week. He was impossible to stop.
Thompson has such great vision. That's the key to good tailbacks.
Faster than people gave him credit for, very durable. You look at the number of carries he had that season, and it takes a lot of toughness to do the things he did and be as successful as he was, and then walked in at Penn State and contributed. So he was a fine young man, excellent football player.
Well, one of my thrills was getting to see him play at Yankee Stadium in the Pinstripe Bowl in his 4th year at Penn State and playing special teams there.
Sam Ficken down the middle, and Penn State wins it in overtime.
So that was fun to be able to go up to see him do that.
Magical, unforgettable season. 200-yard machine, touchdown machine. When you talk LL football annals and history, Darren Thompson's name as a 2,000-yard rusher will always be there. Good for him.
Number 4, Calico's Kyle Fisher, Eagles' 5th all-time leading rusher, averaged more than 10 yards per carry.
Calico's Kyle Fisher has been unstoppable this season. His 14 touchdowns are tops in Section 2, and his opposing coaches scratching their heads. When you can't stop him, only hope to contain him.
Fast. Extremely fast. There goes Kyle Fisher off to the end zone for a touchdown. 56 yards.
The ultimate speed burner, probably the fastest kid on this list that we're talking about here.
The first thing that comes to my mind is speed.
Watching him get into the open field was like you put the film on fast forward.
Fisher again in motion. Here's the pitch to Fisher.
Oh, that's the play.
And that's 80%. And everybody else was standing still. I mean, he was unbelievably fast.
The way he could accelerate and go north and south, he was as fast as any kid that I've ever seen play, coach. When he got the ball and he could make a line, he usually made that line pretty fast.
You know, for a defensive coordinator, it had to be just a nightmare knowing, okay, how are we going to not stop Fisher, but just try and contain him.
His speed was elite, but once he got into the alley, he was gone. When you have that kind of speed plus the vision.
When you look at what he did when he did touch the ball, unbelievable.
If you didn't get him on your first tackle, forget it. He was kind of the ultimate weapon kid. No matter where you lined him up, put him in motion, run a jet, run a pitch play.
Got it! Oh, that's beautiful! That is beautiful play action! But it's not the tight end, but it's Kyle Fisher.
Kyle Fisher.
Kyle Fisher, I will never forget him as one of the fastest kids that I ever covered. And he beat you with flat-out speed.
It was always exciting when the ball was in Kyle's hands.
We've cracked the top 5 in our countdown, but coming up next, we unveil who made the top 3 and who's walking away as our #1 running back of the last 20 years. We're back on 11 of the last 20, and it's time to dive right into the top 3 running backs on our list. Next up, this buckskin bruised opposing defenses every single week in his senior season, piling up well over 2,000 yards in his final year.
Number 3, Conestoga Valley's Kevin Kelly, Buckskin's all-time leading rusher and 4th all-time in LL League history.
Kevin Kelly from Conestoga Valley.
Wait. A running back on a Jared Novak pass-happy offense?
Eiselman to throw. Up top, wide open and caught by Sensenig. And he is gone. Touchdown, CV.
No, that can't be. No. But hey, when you have a guy like Kevin Kelly, you got to adjust.
Eiselman will give it to Kelly straight ahead. Kelly lowers the boom, and he's into the end zone for a touchdown.
He was big, strong, fast. A guy that could just take the hits, but just kept on going.
Good first down yardage for Kevin Kelly.
Great tackle, but they couldn't bring him down.
Kevin Kelly was an absolute machine in terms of carrying the ball.
He looks like he's getting stronger.
Like I think of our running attack, and I think we normally do a pretty good job in the running game, but you know, the most carries I've ever heard of in a game I think our school record's 40 in a game. Jerry said something that he carried one game over 50 times, and I mean, there are games when you can go and the whole team doesn't carry it 50 times.
Wow. That was just power running by Kevin Kelly.
Pure heart right there.
The durability that kid had week in and week out. I remember, I think we played him week 9, and he had 140 carries like the last 3 games. And, you know, you think 140 divided by 3, that's a substantial number, carry the ball that much, and game in and game out, that's quite impressive.
He never seemed to lose his legs. He never seemed to lose the ability to have 30, 40 carries in a night, be extremely productive, and again, a good combination of power and speed.
Kevin Kelly in for the touchdown.
He could get away from you in a hurry, but real good vision. I just remember thinking, you know, when we played against him, that we had to be real careful in terms of tackling and tracing from the backside because he was very elusive.
Coach Novak really rode him a lot, and it paid off.
Conestoga Valley Buckskins come into Mannheim and defeat the Barons by a score of 12-7 to win the Section 2 title in a stunning upset.
A 2,000-yard kid. And again, not many players in LL League history have gone for 2,000 yards in one season. Kevin Kelly did it. Every defense knew that Kevin Kelly was coming, and nobody could stop him. He was really amazing, packed a punch, and he had a great career for CB.
Number 2, Cocalico's Austin Hartman, Eagles' all-time leading rusher and 3rd all-time in LL League history.
Austin was a typical Cocalico running back.
Prototypical Cocalico fullback.
When I think Cocalico fullbacks, I think Austin Hartman.
An absolute workhorse.
65 had a piece of him, but he just couldn't bring him down.
That's going to take more than just getting a piece of Austin Hartman to bring him down.
You look at his career numbers, and he carried the ball 699 times. And I'm sure if you talked to Austin, you could have given him the ball 200 more times and he would have produced for you. I mean, this is a guy that just kept going and going and going and never seemed to slow down.
Give us Hartman.
There it is.
Hartman. Touchdown, Eagles.
That blue collar mentality, you know, just here's my job, this is what I got to do. And we went out and did it extremely well.
Hartman with his 2nd touchdown of the night.
He did some really nice things for us. You know, Austin was very physical, and he was quicker than you think.
Hartman into the secondary. Austin Hartman, 20.
He's gone.
10. Touchdown.
You know, a lot of people just thought that he'd hit in there, but Austin was very good at skinning himself up and getting through a gap, and you know, one guy normally didn't bring Austin down. He was a very physical runner.
Everybody knew in the Navy offense, Hartman's getting the ball. They also know where he's going to go. He's going to hit inside the tackles 90% of the time. But it didn't matter.
Hartman takes it. Hartman stumbles, cuts it back inside, and it's going to be 1st and goal, Eagles.
He was a bull.
The ultimate lower the shoulder kid, dragged guys. I remember talking to him after games, and he would be so tired and sweaty and, you know, trying to peel off his uniform and his pads because he was soaked because he did so much during the game.
1st and goal. Hartman He is in for the touchdown.
He brought a lot to their offense. They were pretty talented the years he was there in terms of running backs. And you look at his stats, I think he did that along with the other people they had. It speaks volumes about how good he was.
Hartman into the open field, and he is gone.
To be a fullback in the Navy offense and run for 5,000 yards.
Boy, what a burst right up the middle, and Austin Hartman with a 46-yard touchdown run.
That to me is one of the greatest accomplishments in the Lancaster-Lebanon League.
His name is right there with all the Cocalico rushing leaders and in their chart and in LL history as well. He was awesome.
Into the secondary
There he goes, I
again,
told you.
Austin Hartman touchdown.
Unbelievable.
You know what? He answered the call.
Number 1, Manheim Central's Tyler Flick, Barron's all-time leader in rushing yards and touchdowns.
Fluid. There is Flick, and he is just going to coast into the end zone. Smooth. Couple of quick strikes here for the Barons in the first quarter. Strong from the 1. Flick will push it across for the touchdown. Fast. Racing for the sideline, uses the stiff arm. Tyler Flick is going to take it the distance. I mean, there's so many different ways you can describe his game.
You talk about a workhorse running back, that was him. Rushed for nearly 4,000 yards, 66 touchdowns. And was just a beast. He was just a monster to bring down.
If you're number 1 in Manheim Central program history in any stat, you're doing something. And Flick is number 1 all time on their rushing board, which is pretty amazing.
Tyler was a total package.
Nope, they'll go to Flick. Uses the stiff arm. Down the sideline. In for the touchdown.
He had the speed, he had the power, he can get on the outside and beat you around the corner. He can run through the tackles. Things that I appreciated most about Tyler is Tyler was a kid that would rather run through you than run around you.
You know, in my mind, he's the toughest running back that we've seen over at Manheim.
Simon to Flick. And Flick will push it in for the touchdown.
Tyler would do it both ways, offensively and defensively, never came out of the game.
Flushed out of the pocket, rolling, flips it downfield, and it's picked off. Tyler Flick with the interception.
You know, he got better as the game went on. He was physical, and, you know, between them wearing you down up front and Tyler wearing you down, carrying the ball, it wasn't uncommon in some of those games for him to carry the ball 6-7 times in a row, 8 times in a row, and he always seemed to, he never got tired. I mean, I just don't ever remember seeing him tired.
I would put Flick at the top, and I've seen all the Manheim running backs since 1975, so I think I know what I'm talking about. And he's got great feet. Is he going to be a good one?
I put him in the upper echelon of running backs that I've seen in this area in the last 20 years.
Just like we like him in Manheim.
Flick breaks it down the right sideline. Fuji giving chase, but Tyler Flick is going to go for the touchdown. 87 yards.
So there you have it, Manheim Central's Tyler Flick, one of the best running backs to play in our coverage area and number 1 on our list. Thanks so much for joining us today on 11 Last 20. I'm Chad Landers. Come back next time as we dive deep into a new sport and start the countdown once again to see who's number 1.